What's up, Group Coach Nation? Yeah, you got it right. I'm excited today. So y'all know we're like always cracking the code, trying to break into new stuff and trying to figure out like what's actually going on. So today I have with me Evan Marks.
I got in your head earlier. I did. I apologize.
We were just making fun of all the different ways you could say your name earlier. Now it's stuck in my head. Yeah, that's hilarious. So, so here's why I've asked Evan on the show today is mostly because I want to hear like how he does what he does. So M1 Performance Group is his brand. It's his business. He's been coaching for like 4 or 5 years in this one space. And he's a really good group facilitator and really got a lot to say about that process. So this is an under the hood session. Let's just like break this down and see what's going on. So first, before we jump in, Evan, can you just like walk us through specifically what you do in your group coaching / mastermind process? I want people to get an idea of, okay, here's the genre and the thing we're talking about, and then we'll kind of look under the hood and see how it's going.
It's interesting. So, I have a couple different groups, right? Because my clientele range from professional athletes, C-suite executives, and Wall Street professionals. But it really doesn't matter where what you do for a living, right? Because my game is the role of decision making in high stress environments, right? Even though the feedback loop is different in each one of them, but there's still high achievers in high stressful, high pressure situations. So oftentimes now it doesn't matter actually what you do for a living, as long as you're on the field of stress, right? On the field with pressure, right? Because then we're all human beings, right? We all have certain triggers. We all have certain past experiences. We all have certain repeating behaviors that we want to correct. We all get triggered. So it's basically we all are looking to do the same thing, which is in difficult times to make better decisions, better choices that are more conscious for ourselves. Yeah. So, when I look at group coaching, it's first of all, it's incredible when you put like-minded people together, like-minded in the sense that they want to get better, right? They're committed to improvement, to evolving, and to learning. And once you have people like that in a group, it's just anything can happen, which is to me that's what makes group coaching so interesting. Just the dynamics and things like that.
I completely agree. So in your coaching set, because you're more, in some ways, you're kind of a hybrid between a group coaching program and a mastermind. So just for clarity of definitions here, a group coaching program is where typically an instructor is taking people through steps A through Z to get a process done, fulfillment done, whatever, teach them how to do something. Okay. Mastermind, you know this already, just for everybody to be on the same page here. Masterminds are, a pure mastermind would be more just a facilitator coming together, bringing together a like-minded group of people who have common interest and goals, but it's not about step-by-step coaching led by the leader. It's about putting the right people in the right room and letting them bring those processes out and really determine their collective and individual directions. So you kind of bridge those two, correct? Like, tell me a little bit about how that structure works.
Well, it's my background, my foundation, my coaching merges modern psychoanalytical theory, which is Freud, meets the latest research in neuroscience. So for me, that means the past plays a big part in how we behave, right? And we also know through the latest research in neuroscience about neuroplasticity and how the brain evolves and changes and how it's a predicting mechanism. All this is important in how I coach. So, and I love the fact that you define a mastermind and group coaching. Mine is a merger of the two. So what does that mean? When I have a group, it's my job is a facilitator. I ask questions. I observe, right? I observe actually for what people aren't saying. And I also pick up on emotional patterns. So my group coaching is not very traditional, right? It's not like, here's a program, this is what we're going to do, and boom. That's the how. What I do is I merge the why and the how. Why is that important? The why is important because if we don't acknowledge it, understand it, know what it is, the how is very difficult because that why will interrupt, meaning unconscious behavior will stay in a loop. Like, why do I keep doing this? Why does this keep happening? If we don't, as I like to call it, untangling the spaghetti. If we don't know where we're starting from, the how could be very elusive.
Yeah.
When we do have an understanding, right? Because the why sounds like therapy a little bit, right? And the how is kind of like the action. But the power of that merge, transformation.
I agree.
Right?
I completely agree. And nobody out there, we don't have to be therapists. If I'm not a therapist, neither are you. Like, don't hang that shingle out there unless you really are one.
Nope.
But there is so much in human psychology and human behavior that if we don't, I'm so with you. If we don't, for me personally, if I don't connect anything I'm doing with why I want to do or stop doing something, like, oh my gosh, you're right. The why will win. And so, yeah, okay. So you have groups, right? You keep your groups pretty small. And I so love that because I see some people with like 50-person masterminds that's really, really tough to have a mastermind once you get into big groups because the connection is just not quite the same. There's just different dynamics. So how big are your groups? Where do you count?
Max 8. Wow. I can't, if you could have 50, listen, I coach one-on-one. I like the soft touch of coaching, right? 50 for me is way too big. That's for me. For other people could be easier.
Yeah.
I don't feel that connection with 50. I just don't.
I respect that
because I know it's more effective in my practice with a smaller group.
In your practice with the size that you have. Yeah. I respect that. I think so many people chase this scaled up option because it is easier to make more money faster in a 50-person group than an 8-person group. Just how many hours it takes to make the buck, but
economies of scale.
Yeah, I know, but you're right. The transformation level, at least for me, it's just there's this something about that for me, I'm a 10 to 12 person kind of like that. That's the sweet spot for me. But everybody's got their magic number. Okay, cool. So,
but it's so interesting, Chris, when you say that. Like, obviously, group coaching is a very lucrative business, just on the time alone, right?
Yeah.
More people, less time, bigger prices.
Yeah.
It's what's one of the greatest economics of coaching. However, for me, there is a big altruistic part of what I do. Not that I'm cheap of what I cost, but I'm doing this my why and how. Like I want people to be their best. I want them to define success and go after it any way they choose. Like that means more to me than 100 people and not getting anywhere. My experience. It's important that my clients are progressing. Otherwise, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm not doing my why and what's fulfilling me. The money's the byproduct. That'll come. Change is a very fulfilling thing on both sides. As a coach and as a client.
Love this.
Yeah.
Love this. Okay. I love that you're so connected to your why. That's really good. All right. So
took me a while.
Your coaching program. So let's say 8 people in a group. Walk us through what that looks like. Do y'all meet on Zoom? Is it in person? Is it weekly? Like what's the flow that you have here? And by the way,
so
before
we meet once a week.
Okay. What are you doing these things? You're helping these stressed out, high-level achievers actually accomplish their next big thing. Like what is the real push that we're trying to get to here? And then we'll get into the
listen, I have groups that have been going on for 3-4 years, right? That have been with me for a long time. But let's say the newer groups, right? Let's say I'm just forming a group.
Yeah.
My job is to bring the unconscious conscious, right? Like we were just talking about the why. So when you have a group of 8, right? It's the challenging part about that is not everybody is starting at the same place, right? That makes it extremely. It makes you become very curious about everybody participating. So as a coach, I know that, right? I know that Johnny may be more evolved than Sue, and everybody's different, right? Everybody grew up different. Their experiences are different. So then as a coach, how do I come in and start to start asking questions? Because I have to be able to understand where everybody else is coming from.
Mhm.
So what does that look like? Questions, right? So, you know, when we say group coaching facilitation, I have to have the right questions to ask this group and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Questions, open-ended, a question and see how it flows, right? Because you want to see how people are communicating with each other, right? And as a coach, it's what we do, right? Like we said earlier, we're observers. And then
Yeah.
from there, we can either carry the conversation in a different direction or just let it open up, let it evolve and see what it looks like. Because then we have a better understanding as coaches of who our participants are.
Yeah. Why do they join your group? Before day one, coaching session one, what's the reason they're saying, yeah, I want to sign up? That they're thinking of at that point. I know that changes within a couple of months, that once they realize a lot more about
Because they
themselves.
want to work with a New Yorker. I'm just kidding. Why does it happen? Because, you know, we look at things differently, right? This is not, hey, let's get them. Like, they know when they work with me that there's going to be some scuba diving. We're going deep in the past a little bit to really see what's going on. And then we know on the neuroscience side of how the brain can actually change, right? And it's predicting and changing, and that we all have feelings, right? But these perceived negative ones just give us data. We get to choose. So I think people know the way I look at coaching is very different. And it's going to take them on a journey. And they have to be curious, like, what is going to happen? What's possible?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know what's possible if we get to understand the past, right? Because the brain is always predicting into the future. But you know where it's predicting from? Past experiences.
Yeah.
So if we have the opportunity to create new experiences, not void of feelings, but create new behavior, it's incredible. Now put that in a group setting, right? So when we talk about modeling, people are observing others, which triggers their unconscious. And that's when conversations are interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Because you could say something to me, even Chris, I met you a couple of weeks ago, but you could trigger me and it's like I feel disrespected for some reason. Now, it's not you, Chris, any longer. It's somebody in my past.
Mm-hmm.
But as a coach, you get to watch this. Right.
Makes
so you
sense.
get to understand the community that you're coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fascinating.
It is. I love this job. So so you're meeting
So do
weekly. No, meeting weekly. It's never boring. Meeting weekly on Zoom, right?
Weekly on Zoom.
Whatever. Okay. And then how long do people just jump in there and stay? Is there like a minimum requirement? Like what?
Let's say I just did a group this morning.
Yeah.
8 to 9 in the morning.
Okay. And do they stay for a certain number of months originally, or is it like first year commitment? Like what's the when the people join in?
It's that's such a tough question because it's worked very well for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a year. It's a 3-month commitment.
Okay.
Right. But you know, like for me, if everybody has families and lives and stuff like that, and people are very courteous and if they can't make it, they'll say they can't make the group.
Sure.
It is what it is. Right. I love it when everybody's there because the dynamic's amazing.
Yeah.
Which is terrific. Yeah. But you know, I have, like I said, 3 groups that all of them have been over 3 years. I haven't created a new one in a while because I just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I love them. Like I always want this in my arsenal.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, I think a group is as good as its contributors and the person asking questions. It's got to be this beautiful dance between myself and my clients.
That is so on you too. So talk us through this a little bit. So we look at our masterminds like private dinner parties. Like you got to have the right people at the table. If you don't,
I love that
it's
analogy.
totally going to get messed up. So that's really heavy on me and my team though, because we have to screen through people and we're really picky about how that room is set up. How do you screen for the right person? Because it's not just about, great, you can hit the swipe account, let's go. It's about, no, do you fit? Is this the right thing for both of us and the group? How do you screen? Like, what are you looking for in that person that makes them the right fit for your
Well,
role?
I have to say that I have a supervisor that I speak to, and I call him Yoda. He's an analyst therapist that I use. He's my analyst and my coach.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to him about certain people in the group, and is it toxic? What should I be asking here? Right? I want to know, right? Because the health of the group is important. And I'm not saying somebody, can't get a little rizz or rizz out of somebody, but is it not, what's going to happen here? So, everybody's on their best behavior. You meet them, you talk to them, you get a feel, but when they start in a group, is it working?
Mhm.
Like, is Chris good for this group or he's not good for this group? Right. So my job is not just because I think you said something wrong or whatever it may be. I have to give it thought. And I call my guy and we talk about it.
Mm.
So, but then the question always is like, what do you feel about it, Evan? Did he affect you? Did he hurt your feelings? Like, is it about you or about him?
Right.
Right. We have to know that as coaches also. Right.
Yeah.
Am I projecting my feelings onto him because he said something that upset me? Well, that's not a good reason to have somebody leave a group. Right. So you have to really talk this through because a lot of it could be an Evan issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't be an Evan issue.
So true.
It's got to be a group thing.
All right. So
it's really cool stuff. Like,
it is cool. It's
as
very
a
fun
coach, our job is to put space between me and you.
Yeah.
And listen.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Another question, but let me just your website here before I forget. So if you're listening in, I got on the screen right now if you're watching, but if you're listening in, m1performancegroup.com, m1performancegroup.com. Okay. So that's his website, like super cool website, by the way. All right.
Thank you.
So
there's a good video on it if everybody wants to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful. Yeah.
16 hours to shoot for a minute 30. That was really
cool. It's so true, right? That's how the way it works. All right. So you're one of those people, like as a coach, who likes doing one-on-ones.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So you get these people in a group. There's 8 of them. They're in a group. How much one-on-one do you throw into your process?
I must say, I'd say about 30% of my group coaching are also one-on-one clients.
Okay. Interesting. They're on both sides. Yeah. So if you're in a group, you can also be a one-on-one. So you let them cross over. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Why do you do one-on-ones? Because a lot of coaches have veered away from that just for lots of reasons. But why do you do one-on-ones?
I think my experience, I think one-on-ones have the biggest impact possible.
Really?
Biggest impact on the client, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I've had some great coaches growing up and stuff like that, and they influenced me significantly. I didn't have a dad growing up, really. And it's so important, and I just love it. That one-on-one intimacy, to really get to know somebody and to truly have impact, is absolutely incredible. I always say that everything is connected in what we do. Everything. Right? I'm a mental performance coach, but I got to know what's going on in your marriage. I got to know what's on in your house. It's going to affect your performance. Everything is connected. And once you get to, when we talk about merging the whys and the hows, that why can get extremely vulnerable.
It can. Yeah.
And when somebody opens up to you, and you can never tell a book by its cover, and they trust you with this. Chris, because you do it. It's coaching is the most incredible businesses, careers, professions.
Yeah.
Ever.
I completely agree.
Especially when you build that connection with someone. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything.
So agree. Love this. Man, I love it. Okay. You're doing good work. Love what you're doing. It's funny. I'm for group coaching. I used to do it.
Chris, I think you're coming in and out a little bit there, bud.
Oh, am I? Am I breaking up? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I like on the other end of the one-on-one versus group side of things. I did a lot of one-on-ones, and I don't anymore because I find that people get so much more result out of our groups. And I find that as I talk to other coaches out there, I don't think there's a right or wrong about this. Just like I don't think there's a right or wrong about group size. It comes down to, how does it work for you and the people you serve? We all serve in our own unique ways, and we all serve people who are attracted to that, our own unique ways. And it's cool how that model of just giving an attraction puts the right people to you that are like perfect for the way you want to coach. I just love that. Love it.
Yeah, and listen, group coaching is economically, it's the place to be.
Sure.
Right. If we want to talk about investing in a business and some's like, I'm going to invest in Evan or I'm going to invest in Chris. Chris is group coach and Evan does one-on-one and he's got a couple coaches. I'm investing with Chris on a money basis, right? Because you could have more people, right? I mean, think about it, right? You could.
Sure. The scale is there.
The scale is just out of control. You know, people ask me, do I have a digital course? I said, no, I don't do that. Why not? I said, because I don't want to right now.
I don't think people get results out of them very much. Like it's just kind of
that's not what I do.
Maybe it's for some people, but yeah, it's hard to see that.
Maybe down the road, right? But at this point, but I know economically, group coaching is the place to be, 100%. But I love one-on-one.
I know. I love that you love what you love because that's so cool. There's again, everybody, there's no right or wrong to this. It's find a way to serve the people you serve the best possible way. When I was in some residential therapy situations several years ago that just helped me through a lot of stuff. And that's where I realized, oh my gosh, the group thing is working faster than the one-on-one thing for me. And that's what got me really keyed in on, I got to figure this thing out in the business set. Like, how do we take that group, really private information model and move it to the business productive set? Anyway, I love this. Okay. Website again.
You're right though, Chris. I think I like when you said, for me, this is how I want to do it.
That's why I'm interviewing you, man, because I like seeing somebody's doing it different. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, listen, if we meet up a year from now, am I going to have 10 groups? Possibly. Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah. I have no idea.
We're all entrepreneurs.
I love all my clients. I love all the people in my groups, and it's nice because I get to pick who I want to work with. Yeah. I'm at a stage in my life. I'm 52. I pick who I want to work with because I commit as much as they commit. Yeah.
If you're listening in, by the way, he looks like a strong 35. So yeah, keep rocking 52.
New shoulders, new knees. Yeah, I may look, the hardware's a little banged up. But let me ask you a question. What do you like about group coaching over one-on-one?
Here's what I love. And when I came out of these residential type like therapy places, and I actually stopped and, asked the therapist in the middle of all this stuff, like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm just trying to figure this out. Why are people changing so fast in this setting? It's like, we're getting a year's worth of therapy, like every week. It's so fast, And they pointed me to some research. There's so much research out there now around humans are community animals. We just are what we are. So when we go through deep change, if it's in business, personal, whatever, in a community setting, that's Zoom or face-to-face, forget all that stuff for a second. We find ourselves changing over 5 times faster. It's like 5 and some change X in the pace people change. And then the retention of that change is way stronger for way longer. And reading all that research and talking to more people about it, I realized, okay, I got to figure out a model that will do this. And we keep our groups still small because that connection does start to fall apart with groups getting too big. But in a small group, the accountability is there.
Right.
The aha moments, like the person in the Zoom screen or seat next to you says something, asks a question, whatever. You're like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought about that. I'm going to do the same thing. Like all of a sudden that group context is just massive when it comes to change. But here's the deal. Here's where we notice it breaks off. And I've talked to therapists about this too. We have a 75% minimum requirement in our groups. So you have to show up 75% of the time or you can go. That's the dynamic. If people are in a group but don't show up, it ruins the group. If people are in a group and committed to the group, it actually works faster. That's been our experience.
But that makes sense though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It creates cohesion.
Yep.
Community. People feel important, supported, all the basic human needs.
All things. Yeah, it's communities. Okay. M1 performance.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. I just love the research behind it too. I'm so glad people are actually smart.
You just shifted me a little bit, if I can be honest with you. When you said that, and I'd love you to send it to me, and I know it's truthful what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if that is really factual and that could help my people, I'm going to do a bigger. I appreciate that. I'm going to do. If you could send that to me, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Research, because I'm going to. Yeah. If it helps, I'm in. Right, rigidity over fluidity. I'm very fluid. If I think it could work, I'm using it.
Yeah. And however, I do I mean, all of us as coaches, even in group settings, I know we got to go in a second. We still see people who need that extra boost or push. And we still, my coaching team, we pull them out and say, hey, let's have a one-on-one call after this group call. Let's just talk for 30 minutes. Like, let's get deep into this thing real quick. Let's get it done. So there's still a time and place for that. Yeah. But
yeah. And that's necessary, to be honest with you.
But they got to be plugged in. Okay. M1performancegroup.com. M1performancegroup.com is Evan Marks. There's a guy in our mastermind right now. His first name is Evans. This is really messing with me. Evans with an S. This is Evan without an S, but Mark with an S.
I get Mark Evans. Evan. It's just all over the place. I just say yes.
So here's my recommendation. Looking for a performance coach. If you're a high octane, high stress kind of person, you're a go-getter, go to m1performancegroup.com. If you're looking for like, okay, I just want to look under the hood a little more and see this guy's got going. Like, how's he doing this stuff? Go to m1performancegroup.com. Like, do a little stalking. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done a ton of podcasts you can listen to, some good videos.
Yep.
I'm on LinkedIn, obviously, at Evan Marks. I'm on emarks72 on Instagram.
Yeah.
Take a look.
We'll put all of Evan's stuff down below. Links,
Terrific.
Contact info, all that kind of stuff. Reach out and ask questions. If you have a question for us here at Group Coach Nation on building a group coaching program or mastermind, groupcoachnation.com or wherever you're finding this, hit us up with questions. That's the beauty of these communities, everybody. Like, we're here to actually help. We actually do answer people's questions. And I know Evan does as well. So jump in there, get the information you need. Always. Evan, we say this every time. Do work, get results. Just please do the right work. Just don't be out there building a hustle lifestyle for no reason. Do the right work that's going to get you where you want to go and accomplish, like Evan was saying, your why. Not just the how, but let's get to the why.
Yeah, and it's such, remember, this is rewarding, this journey. It shouldn't be punishing, right? Even when we're in challenging times, we're evolving, we're getting better. Mm-hmm. That's a commitment.
Yeah, it is.
All
right, everybody.
Yeah.
Evan Marks, thank you so much for your time. And
Chris Williams, thank you for having me.
It's so great to be here with you, man. It really is. I'm just glad.
It was a pleasure.
It's been fun hanging out. Everybody else, do the work, get the results. Just please do the right work as always. All right. Talk soon.